Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome to the Jibber podcast. And look who's back.
It's nice to be back. Don't get me wrong, anniversaries are great, but I did miss this.
Exactly. And what a show to be coming back on, Jay Mack. Last week we done the box office banter and kind of talked about the new what was it called again? It was Fast and Furious 9. It was easily forgettable. No, I'm only joking. So this week we are chatting to the very, very talented who, J Mac?
Cliff MacMillan.
And so for those of you who are not familiar with Cliff MacMillan, there is a company called Shout Factory, which it's like a pocket of that is Scream Factory, where if you own physical Blu-rays, DVDs, I would ask you to check a lot of your collection and look for that little Scream Factory logo. I know that I had more of their stuff than I realized, but they've got a full online store. Some of the most classic horrors. What are some of your favorite horrors, J Mac?
Halloween, funnily enough. I honestly think Halloween is my absolute favorite horror film of all time. The original, anyway, and. Not as big a fan of Halloween 3 as you are, but that's something we can maybe get into later. But
I really know what Cliff thinks of that.
Yeah, there's honestly that is the pinnacle of horror for me. I think it's just so kind of deeply burned into my psyche now that it's never going away, and neither it should, because it still holds up to this day.
Yeah, and we know that September the 28th, we will see, and you can see them at the top here. You can see the Halloween 4K. So Halloween 1 right up to Halloween 5 is being re-released on 4K with, the bundle that you get just looks incredible. There's posters of the artwork that you can see here and much, much more, which we will be talking to Cliff about. So before I bring Cliff in, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to give you a bit of a recap on how iconic Halloween is. Ladies and gentlemen, Cliff MacMillan.
Hello out there.
Hey. So we're broadcast live in Scotland tonight, obviously, and around the world. And I've just received a text message there while the visuals we were playing there, Michael Myers, and it's someone, a good friend of mine, saying, "Mate, why did you have to do this very podcast while the final of the game's on?" Over here in Scotland, there's a big final here in the UK of the Euro football, and the guy that had messaged me is a massive Halloween fan, so he's kind of gutted that he's watching football right now and not here. But that's why you could see it in the archives. So today we're going to basically be chatting to you, Cliff, about your journey, what made you do what you're doing, how you do it, how does it benefit you, and kind of what can come of that in the future, what the end goal is, i.e. maybe at the end goal, and of course Halloween, the new 4K releases, stuff that we'll see on this that we didn't see, because you guys did do a box set previous to the Halloween movies. Is that, I'm right about saying that, because I saw it in the store?
Yeah, I think it was 2014. Anchor Bay and Shout Factory came together to put the box set out.
That's quite incredible. So to kind of we'll kind of chat a little bit about Halloween before we kind of go into your journey, because obviously everybody wants to know what's going on with Halloween. First question that had kind of been asked quite a lot was, with this new 4K release, it goes from 1 to 5. So is there a reason that 6 and H2O and Resurrection isn't there, or did you guys just not like it?
Well, it was. I mean, it's been quite an endeavor to put out 5 UHDs at the same time. To do 8 or 10 would just be impossible. So we had to split it up some way.
Yeah.
And Halloween 1, 4, and 5 are new to Shout Factory. We licensed them from Trancas and Compass International. So it only made sense to go up to 5 because we just got, 4 and 5. So
3 was easier to get then previously. So Halloween 3 was easier to get previously.
Well, we've always had the rights to Halloween 2 and 3 since Scream Factory started in like 2009 or 20. I can't remember. It's been so long ago. But yeah, we've always had 2 and 3. And
as J Mac kind of said there, I don't know if you know, like, I don't know if you feel this way as well, but in 2021, Halloween 3's been getting a bit more love, right? Because it's been crap, right? And I know that, like, for me myself, I enjoyed Halloween 3 and I accept it for what it is. At the end of the day, it's a journey, right? The Halloween franchise went through a journey and they tried to do something. Not everything works, right? At the end of the day, because they created this iconic character called Michael Myers, right? But they did try to do something else. So they were brave and I respect that. So I treat the movie itself as what it is. It's in the Halloween franchise. It's not got Michael Myers in it, but I still accept it in the Halloween family. And with the new Halloween Kills trailer, and you're seeing the masks in that trailer, for me, it only makes me love what they're doing more because they're not disrespecting anything about the franchise. They're including it. They're saying, look, it is what it is, but we're acknowledging it and we're kind of tipping the hat to it. And I love stuff like that. It's proper fan service. Yeah. And so you yourself, did you enjoy Halloween 3? Is it something that you happily will say, it's a movie I enjoyed?
No, I enjoy the film a lot for what it is. I mean, it really isn't. It has the name Halloween on it, but it it's really not part of the whole
the bigger
franchise.
picture.
But I've always liked it.
I think as well.
Sorry, just to put my kind of two cents in here. I think that I'm not, like I said a second ago, I'm not a huge fan of Halloween 3, but I'm a Michael Myers guy. That's just, for me, that is Halloween. But I think maybe the mistake that was made was not doing Halloween 3 when they did Halloween 2. If it was Halloween and then Halloween 2 was actually Season of the Witch, then you're starting the anthology pretty clearly. And maybe they just made a mistake with that and we could have had a whole different series of movies. But like I said, still love Michael Myers. So it's nice to see him getting restored again.
I think in 1981, when you killed somebody, they pretty much stayed dead. Now you can't kill anybody in the movie business as long as you make enough money to bring it back. So,
absolutely.
So they did try and go in another direction. And I think it was cool that they tried it. It would have been interesting to see, what the next film would have been like.
Well, I see, growing up, I kind of watched Halloween 4 and 5. And I was quite young when I watched it. You're probably the same as me. When you've got family members that are older than your cousins, brothers, or whatever, and they watch movies, they kind of bring the little brother in to watch. And that's kind of how I was introduced to Halloween from a very young age. But for me, my experience of watching Halloween wasn't the same as everybody else's because I watched 3 and 4 before I ever watched the first one. So for me, Danielle Harris happens to be the character that everybody loves, Laurie Strode, because there's your dynamic. You got Michael Myers and Laurie Strode, but for me it was always Danielle Harris. Laurie Strode kind of came for me afterwards. How did you first discover Halloween, and what was I take it you watched the first one?
Well, I'm quite a bit older than you guys, and I saw Halloween in the theater in 1978.
Wow.
My dad took me to it. It was a double feature of Halloween and Black Christmas.
Nice.
And so, I've loved the film since then and have had every version, Blu-ray, beta, VHS, Laserdisc, every DVD version. It is my favorite horror film of all time.
Yeah.
Halloween. So
there's just something about it. And did you, I know the fans accept 2, the kind of shun 3, apart from there is still a big fan following of Halloween 3. Just you have to kind of look for it. I'm part of that, by the way. I'll always defend it. For yourself, do you like how it went? Obviously, you'll know better than anyone. There was a lot of politics behind the making of the movies, and with Mustafa Akkad owning the rights and bringing in new guys and all that stuff. It did it went from what it was, and it kind of went elsewhere. How do you feel about that? The franchise as a whole, maybe up to H2O. Did you enjoy that kind of stuff, or is there one you're like, hey, you know what, I just can't?
No, I like them all. They're all not the first movie. They have their own things that make them sort of fun. Most people don't like Resurrection, but I kind of like the film.
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's
I
fun.
think it has some cool stuff in it, and I think The Mask is much better in that one.
The Mask is good.
Yeah, so I even find things in that film that I like, and I like both of Rob Zombie's movies as well.
This is where we got off the rails a little bit. The thing is, I think both myself and Kevin both really enjoyed Rob Zombie's first Halloween. The second one was just so bizarre. A lot of the dream sequences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's Rob Zombie. He can do what he wants.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I like Rob. I worked with Rob on Munsters Go Home. Because I knew he was a fan. So we got him to do a commentary on that, and I got to stand around and talk to him for about an hour after he finished. And
that's amazing.
He's a super great guy.
And he's rebooting the Monsters as well.
Yeah, I know. It was kind of funny that I kind of wonder if that's when that started, because but the coolest thing about it is that Rob Zombie's a fan too. So we were there with Butch Patrick, and Rob had Butch Patrick sign something for him. So he's just like us.
The thing is, I watched a lot of the documentary because I binge Halloween content, and that's kind of how I came to seeing a lot of what the stuff you do. Rob Zombie, I think people always they don't dig the second Rob Zombie one, but I do think that a lot of that has to do with, I think he had such a horrible time from his opinion, from what I've seen, doing the first one, to the point where he was like, well, the first one was an absolute success, and if I go back and do the second, they'll see what I've done, and they'll be like, right, we can let him breathe now and let him do his thing. And he said it was even worse on the second. And he actually said that there was a point where one of the Weinsteins brought him into an office, played the first Halloween that he made, and was like, see this scene here, we need to have this to be more like that. And he's like, I made that movie. You're literally showing me a scene I made. And just that kind of stuff. Do you feel, I don't know how much you kind of worked with in that kind of environment. Do you ever kind of come up, especially even in the Halloween franchise, where you're trying to be, because you guys are creative when it comes to, you don't just clean up the movie and put it out. You add more to it. There's more value in there for the audience. Do you ever find that you've got to a point where you're trying to do something creative, but there's loggerheads, whether it be maybe to do with the rights or something, or just wee bits and bobs where they're like, no, we can do this, but not that? Do you ever have anything like that happen?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think really a lot of times, you'll see the fans complaining about something, and they don't realize how much this industry is ruled by lawyers. And as a bigger company, and with deals with all the studios, when the studio tells you to cut something or you can't use something, we have to play by the rules. We can't just ignore them. So a lot of things are affected by lawyers. Yeah,
that kind of
sucks. Is there a set process that you're going to have to go through for every single release that you do, like a 12-step program, where you start here, then we do this, then that, then this?
We know when we're shooting, that in an interview, that there are things that we're going to have to cut. You can't have an actor trashing somebody. They don't want that on a disc, and they're right. It's not the place to do that. I guess the place to do that now is the internet, but it's not going to be on a disc where it's around forever. So there often are things that we want to do that we can't do, and it's a shame. And but that's what you have to deal with when you're in this business.
Yeah, we I think who was it? We heard it from Gary Smart, wasn't it? That he tried to use a clip of something, and they were like for every second it was like what? How much to thousands was it, J Mac? You're better at remembering these things.
I think this was actually it was when I spoke to John Campopiano about the Pet Cemetery documentary that he made.
Yeah.
They were looking for something like $60,000 a second for clips, and it was basically a way to tell them just to leave without saying leave.
Yeah,
it's terrifying.
It's outrageous, and that's why you won't see a lot of clips from other movies and our extras. Even posters, sometimes we have to take posters out. Wow. It's crazy, but we're a bigger target, and I think some of the smaller labels are able to use the term fair use and use clips and posters and stills and stuff, but we tend to be a target. People know that the company makes money, so they're looking for us to blow it and use something of theirs so they can come after us. So
you would think really that these companies would be a bit more accepting of what you guys do, because you guys are the middleman between them and us, right? You're the guys that take the content they've pretty much left, because they do what they're doing, it gets released, and then they kind of just it's out there, and you guys put a new lease of life to that. You would think that would only be a great thing for them to kind of give you their blessing and maybe take it easy, no?
Well, I mean, they have a point too, because they're an even bigger target than we are. The studio. Yeah. So you can't put something on a disc that could open you up to a lawsuit. So that's why people are, well, why are there not deleted scenes? There is a rule that if you use footage of somebody that was not in the final movie, they get to start to make SAG residuals. So, you've got to think about that when you go in and you want to use footage. Can we afford to pay, SAG residuals for this scene, so that there are so many rules out there that we have to play by.
It's like a minefield.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
And so kind of with regards to the 1:5 4K, I've seen just how amazing the artwork looks, and we can obviously from the images we can see that you're getting like vinyls and stuff. So what can we expect? In fact, I actually seen it on the website that you guys have got like proper. There's a full list of like new features that haven't been there before. What kind of stuff did you guys put in? Like, is there a part of that project where you were like, we spent so much time on this, and it's now part of the 4K set where you're like, that's something I'm really proud to have there?
Well, I mean, most of the things that we've announced so far are things that already existed that were on the Halloween box set. There's sort of two waves of when we announce a title. When we first announce the title, it's mainly because it's going to go up on Amazon and all the outlets. Excuse me. So we do a press release. At that point, when we do that press release, we can only include things that have been approved and are ready to go, because you don't want to announce something that doesn't come together. We've been down that road, and you put an extra on the back, and then for some reason something happens and you have to remove it. So once the discs are done, which is going to be about August 6th, then we'll do another announcement that will show everything that's on the disc. So right now what people are seeing are things that already exist and that we used on previous releases. Okay. But there will be much more on the disc that we have not announced yet.
I'm just looking at it here on. I mean, I can actually share the screen with you guys, guys at home as well, for those of you that haven't seen it. But the incredible, just looking at that, like that is pretty much why I got a job when I still live with my parents. Like this would have been straight up there. I can already see myself going in. I mean, I'm such a fan of the physical work, and the fact you guys haven't just it doesn't look like something you have just pre-cooked and kind of thrown out there as a money grab. You can see that a lot of heart and soul's gone into this. Just even look at the artwork. I mean, that kind of we've never seen that. Obviously, who's the artist that done that?
Joe Robinson did those.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, art is always subjective. I mean, some people look at Picasso and say that's garbage, and so somebody will look at your new cover and say, "Oh, that's terrible," and it's like, that's just how it is. Some people like art, some people don't.
Yeah.
It's something I'm a big fan of is the kind of older style movie posters, the ones that are hand painted and hand drawn and stuff like that. They do have a certain charm that is pretty much missing nowadays. It's all just photograph composites and stuff like that. So it's really nice to see proper artwork going into a DVD. It looks great.
Yeah, we've been blamed many times for the floating head artwork, but when you have a lot of stars in the movie, you want to put them on front. They're the draw, in many cases for the movie, so you can't just leave them off.
No, absolutely. I mean,
and that's another thing. Like people will say, God, why didn't you have such and such on the cover? And it's like some actors have in their contract that they have the approval right of their likeness. So if we draw a cast member and we can't get them to approve it, we've wasted our time doing a piece of art. So you need to know that going in. Like when we did a collector's edition of Cobra, like everybody's like, why did you use the poster? And it's like because Sylvester Stallone wouldn't approve the image we drew of him. It's like it's not that we just were lazy. We actually went through several covers. And he didn't approve any of them. So, it's...
This is really good to know this stuff, though. This is the type of thing that, it does answer those questions without people having to bitch and moan at you online. So it's really good to know these things. When did the decision come that you were going to do another restoration in the 4K of Halloween?
When we got the rights to Halloween... there was already a 4K out that Lionsgate did, and it's a great looking transfer. But when we picked up the license, we found out that it was struck from an interpositive, which is one source away from the original negative. So we decided, well, we've got to go back to the original camera negative. So we scanned it in 16-bit 4K. And I can tell you, there are things in the movie that I never noticed before. It's so darn sharp, and it has so much depth to it. Like, I've seen this movie a million times, and there's a shot of Laurie's purse, and she's actually got these gold letters, Laurie, across the handle on her purse, which I never noticed before.
Wow.
And, maybe I just didn't look hard enough. I don't know. But, there are certain things that I'm noticing that are so much sharper, like the license plate on all the cars. And it really looks amazing, the new transfer.
Yeah, I think it was only last year. Last year, I bought one of the 4K releases. Sorry, one of the Blu-ray releases of the original Halloween. And I couldn't believe how the movie actually looked. I watched it on VHS growing up, and a little bit on DVD. But then when I saw the 4K, everybody's face just looked completely different to what I remembered. Especially going from VHS, because it was also kind of fuzzy and the color was so drained, and it just you don't realize how bad it looked until you see the restoration. And it's like when you clean your car. You forget how nice it looked before it got dirty, and it was the same thing. I was absolutely blown away by the Blu-ray, so I can't wait to see the 4K just to see the difference again.
And I'm only looking at a 1080p version of it. I haven't looked at the 4K one, but it was great. We had Dean Cundy come in, and he approved all three transfers: Halloween 1, 2, and 3, and. Wow. Dean said when he was looking at Halloween 1, he's like, now this is what it looked like when I shot it.
That should be on the box.
Yeah.
There's a quote that you want to see.
It is one thing that people forget is the fact that film is infinitely more detailed than digital. I think there's this kind of misconception that digital is better than film, and it's just not when you really get into it. Every digital image has it has its limit as to how far you can zoom in. But if you've got a good crystal clear film photograph, or film reel, then the quality is infinite, and it seems to be forgotten.
Yeah, it's also frustrating to see people like complain that something's grainy, that was shot on film. It's like, it's gonna be grainy. It's just how it is,
Yeah.
You can smooth it out, but it just doesn't look like film then.
Yeah.
How long does it take you guys from when you acquire the rights to do a restoration? How long does it take you from start to finish to say, right, that's the restoration done, it's ready now to press? How is it, like 6 months, a year?
No, I mean we can turn around usually one in a month.
What?
For this project, we've spent several months on it, just because there were so many films too to scan. But yeah, it takes a couple of days to actually scan the film. It takes that long, and we've, of course, because this is Halloween, we've spent a lot more extra time making sure that we've cleaned every bit of dirt and dust and all that.
Essentially, the Halloween fans are they're diehard, so you just know for a fact, like, you could probably get away with the Blob or the Tomatoes from outer space, but when it comes to Halloween, like, the microscope's going to be up, and from what we've seen online, it's all really essentially been positive. I think the only thing that people have complained about is that they're broke and they've not got money yet to pre-order it. That seems to be the biggest gripe.
It's
but
a really great time if you're a fan. There's so much coming out.
Exactly. I mean, do you feel yourself, as the creators, you and your team, do you feel that when you do a project as big as this, it's always well received?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It always depends on what your source is. It's another thing that I think people don't realize is that not everything is perfect in the vault when you go in there. Movies change hands for several different people. Like, on one of the message boards, people were talking about, well, on Halloween 4, why don't you have the stems to go back and recreate, the audio? And it's like, the stems are gone. We can't find them. The movie was first at Fox, and then it went to Anchor Bay, and film assets get moved around this town quite often, and sometimes they just don't go back to where they originated from. And so it always depends on what you have to work with.
Do you find that you'd kind of, like, if I was to say anybody got the stems, do you know where to look? I mean, they must be somewhere. Surely something like that. I know it was a low budget at the time, but surely they had them at the point where it kind of became what it became, and they still had it there. Do you think maybe someone's sitting on them and just not telling anyone?
Well, Anchor Bay used a lab called Crest here in Los Angeles, and Crest went out of business at one point. And I don't think elements ever went back to Anchor Bay or the rights holder, because I figured this out a few years ago when we went through Silent Night, Deadly Night. We couldn't find elements for that. We couldn't find any elements for part 2. They were all lost. Hell Night, no film material. And they all have the one same reoccurring factor. They were all done at Crest.
God, that's mad, isn't it? I mean, we all...
Yeah, it just never went back, when we were doing Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, I think it was. We even went to Lionsgate to see if, the Anchor Bay assets moved from Anchor Bay to Lionsgate when they purchased them. And they had some elements, but not the elements we were looking for. And I think when Crest went out of business, it all went in the garbage.
That stuff happens, by the way. That actually happens.
It absolutely does.
I'm a huge wrestling fan, and there was basically, for anybody that knows the wrestling, they'll know that the big juggernauts are WWE, and they've got a thing called the WWE Network. But there was a company that had run for years, which was it was out in Kentucky, really, and a lot of the big stars that went on to become stars, all the earlier work was there. Now that company went out of business, and they literally got all their footage and binned it, right? And someone went into that bin, took the footage, and was like, "Whoa!" and sold it to WWE for millions.
Yeah.
Right? It's crazy what people throw away, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's,
God, to be the bin man that found that stuff. Probably wouldn't even know what they were looking at exactly. Is
It's like garbage day.
Does it cost a lot of money to acquire rights to Halloween and stuff like that? Because I can imagine like J Mac and I, if we were to say, right, hey, let's release Halloween 1 and let's do something with it, we couldn't just go up and say, we'll give you this amount of money and do it. Is it like, do you guys really need to do a lot of funding to kind of get that off the bat?
Yeah, I mean, with any licensor, most of the time you pay them in advance up front against royalties. And yeah, I mean, it helps when you're a big company because you can offer a lot of money for titles. And, we had worked with Trancas and Compass on the box set too. So,
yeah,
that helped us get the titles.
And
what's it like when you're trying to make the decision about what movie you're going to pursue? I mean, with something like Halloween, obviously you know you're going to get a good response, but you do take risks with lesser known or lesser followed things, and it must be completely up in the air as to whether it's going to be a success or not.
Yeah, we go through a process where we just don't acquire stuff without looking at like or comp titles to see how they did, how they sold. We have to take into the fact that we do work for a company that needs to, make a profit to keep going. We have a lot of people in our company, so we can't take as many chances as a smaller company can, because we have so many employees that get paid and get benefits. So we are a little more selective now than we probably were before, but it's because we have to make money. We can't lose money or we wouldn't be around.
Yeah.
How big is the company now compared to when Scream Factory? I won't talk about Shout Factory as a whole, but Scream Factory, I mean, how much bigger has that section of the business gotten since it started?
I mean, it's a huge part of the business for sure, but we don't really have a set group of Scream employees. It's myself and Jeff Nelson, who does marketing, and we use the same employees that Shout uses. So somebody who's working on Transformers might be doing the artwork or the covers for Exorcist 3. So we have a lot of people behind the scenes. Our internet site folks, the people that come up with those great packages, the albums, and the posters and the pins. There's a lot of people that make this happen.
Yeah.
Sure. A lot of people.
Yeah, you can absolutely tell that. So when you decided to do Halloween, and you kind of announced it, and then the pre-orders went up, did you see straight up like, hey, this is a healthy investment to do the Halloween? Because I know you guys obviously done it before. Was it maybe based on how well that performed that you were like, it's maybe time for a 4K?
Yeah, I mean, our site crashed twice the morning we announced this. There were so many people on the website before we even put them up that they took down the system twice. So yeah,
not bad.
We did get a lot of orders, and I mean, it's like when we did the Friday the 13th set. I mean, that also just killed the site. Which is great. I mean, that there's still a great fan base out there that loves physical media and that has not just gone to digital and forgotten about it. So
I think
the horror and the sci-fi crowd are the people that really keep physical media going.
Yeah, I think you guys are great for keeping that going as well. It's not just the fans. I mean, you guys do your part, because like I'd kind of said, if I'm going to spend £30, right, obviously UK money, £30, if I was going to spend that on a physical movie that I could probably watch on Netflix, it has to have just that bit extra that appeals to the fan in me. So if you tell me, hey, there's a poster in there, there's some postcards with never before seen stills that we took, mate, I'm all over that. I mean, just throwing it. And I think that's how you sell physical media now, is you're going to have to go above and beyond. It's not just a case of buying a one disc edition anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
A wee steel case as well. See a steel case, mate. See, just talking about steel cases. Do you own? You must own a variety of steel cases behind you, no?
Oh yeah, no, I love steel books. I started to get less interested in them in the last year or so because half the time I can't get one that doesn't have a dent or a scratch in it. You know, yeah, that's the big problem. I mean, we do steel books, but the amount of smashed and defective and ones that we take back are really painful. Yeah,
I own a Terminator 2 Judgment Day steelbook from the original DVD release, and I bought it secondhand because I couldn't find a brand new one. Because I actually worked, I had a full-time job, right, working in retail, and I took a second job only because a movie store was hiring, and I wanted to be in that, right? So I had 2 jobs at one point just so I could work there. I didn't even care if they paid me or not, right? So I'd go in there so excited, knowing that a delivery day would come in, and out it came was this 2-disc edition Terminator 2 steelbook, and obviously it was pre-owned, and I could put the things I wanted to buy aside before it even hit the shop floor, and it was bashed. It was so bashed and tarnished. I was like, first off, I'm taking it because I might never see another one like this. Second of all, who owned this before? Because I'm going to have a word. Like, what? Like, if you're not going to look after something like this, don't buy it. Give it to someone that will appreciate it. What the hell?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got again Terminator 1 and 2 VHS box set. I found it in an antique store. It makes you feel really old when you find VHS in an antique store. But the box is in such bad condition. It's rusted, it's dented, it doesn't look good. But it was actually taped shut when I bought it. It said "Do not open until purchased." I was like, "Oh no, this is risky." But I took the risk and I opened it, and everything inside was beyond perfect. It was just an absolute joy. It even had the original. It was like a Nintendo. It was the voucher, like a coupon that you fill in and send away to get the Terminator 2 Nintendo game, and it expired in 1994, something like that. And it was great to hold something like that in hand. So I think the physical media is something that is always going to be around. I mean, I've bought titles that I now own on Amazon Prime, but I still don't feel like I own them. If I can't kind of put my hand out and touch it, I don't feel like I own it. Although I have paid for them, I don't feel like they're mine. I mean, I think the closest you could get is to print out every receipt for everything you buy online and stick it on your wall, just as a reminder of the fact that you actually own it.
Yeah, I mean, well, also a digital title could come out of your library, without you even knowing it because the rights expire or something like that. So digital is definitely a lot riskier if you're collecting movies than it is to have a physical copy.
Yeah.
And there's something really nice about pulling a DVD and reading it, and especially the ones like I say, I think more so now, unless it's a movie I know I can't get on Blu-ray, like sometimes they come back or something like that. I know that I'll always buy something to have it, but if I'm going to buy something that you can get on Blu-ray and all that, it will always kind of be the stuff that comes with more, because you want to dive deep inside the movie and the lore and all the stuff that went on behind. Like I says, I have pretty much seen so much content on Halloween, right? But I'm still like, your release of the 4K stuff there'll be something in there that I've not seen before. And I think that's kind of the part of being a fan of movies that kind of brings you towards these kind of really cool updated things, and the art as well. Even if I've got the exact edition, right? If yours comes with a slip-off case, see, even a slip-off case. So I've bought ET again. I actually bought Braveheart again. I already own Braveheart, right? But I bought it again because I don't have this edition, right? I don't have this 2-disc edition, right? Because the one I have is a 1-disc and it's just a normal DVD cover, but this one has a wee slip-off case. Stuff like that. I'm sorry. Call me out.
Why do you have that and I don't?
And I'm going to get it signed on the 31st of this month when we're doing a screening of Braveheart on the 4K screen, and we're having 2 of the actors from the movie there, so we're going to do like a live Q&A. So this is perfect little thing to get signed in. And again, there's another thing.
Do you can bring his poster to get signed too?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's coming down for a minute. Yeah.
do you obviously you do work with a lot of the people behind the scenes in Halloween, the actors, the directors. Do you ever get like signed editions where you could sell them for a lot more, especially now. Do you ever get them to sign a couple on off?
Yeah, like when I met Rob Zombie, I had him sign Halloween. But yeah, I used to be a big. I used to go to all the conventions and get autographs, and so I do have a lot of stuff that's autographed.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I mean, we've kind of done that every time we've kind of been with a celebrity that we own something of, or something we really love. Actors, it's mainly always actors that we speak to, actors and actresses. But you got a few signed as well, J Mac, your DVDs. We actually had a known Scottish actor come to J Mac's house, and we've done an episode with him, Stephen McCall, and J Mac fished out his DVDs that he has with Stephen on it, and he kind of signed it all. It's a pretty cool thing about doing the podcast, and I think. Obviously, you're clearly a fan. You just like us growing up, probably. For you yourself, and we ask a lot of people this, Paul Davis, guys like Gary Smart, you end up working with these people that are essentially your heroes. They gave you so much when growing up in the form of content. Do you ever sit there and go, wait a minute, I'm sitting here with Rob Zombie and he's signing something for me, and this is your, it's a step above when it's your business. It's something you actually do as a job. Do you ever sit there and take a step back and go, wow?
Oh, absolutely. I remember going to a Fangoria horror convention and standing in line to have my Phantasm poster signed by the whole cast and Don Coscarelli. And then, flash forward many years later, I'm working with a guy who I stood in line to just get his autograph. And it is wild.
That is absolutely the dream, isn't it? Yeah. Do you? Right now, I don't know if this has always been the case, but in the UK right now, there's a really big scene for conventions, like horror. There's one that we actually attend and we do the coverage of, and we go there every year. We do a big, because we've got a film crew and stuff, so we go down to Manchester and we film that event and we speak to the actors and stuff. One thing that we notice is even independent filmmakers, guys like yourself and Gary Smart, you can set up a table, right, and have people come and buy that physical media there, and you can sign it. Do you do much of that? Would you be traveling to the UK anytime this year?
I wish. I love it there.
Yeah.
No, we don't do a whole lot of conventions just because it tends to be a huge hassle with shipping all of the goods and making sure you got a credit card machine that works.
Yeah.
I remember we tend to go to ones that are here, locally. Like we used to go to Comic-Con a lot, but I remember trying. I was working the table one day, and somebody from Paramount came up and wanted to buy some titles, and our credit card machine wouldn't work. It's just so embarrassing. It's like, oh God, the poor guy's standing there. So yeah.
I think you can get an app for that now.
A big company, it's a little bit harder to navigate certain things. So.
I think a lot of the conventions that we've been there, I think that stuff's all pretty much. I'm just trying to convince you to do it so we can hang out. I think they've sorted that credit card stuff now, and if not, there's surely an app.
No, I know. It was an internet thing, is what it was. Yeah. It was the hotel's fault, not ours.
Well, hotels, man. We know what they're like, J Mac. There's a question here from Joe Paradine. He says, Halloween, the extended cut and HD TV inserts are in standard definition. Pinch me, am I dreaming?
No, we did this for the Halloween collection. What we did is we inserted the TV scenes into the HD master. They don't look great, and we had to crop them to 235 like the movie was. But it's fun to see those scenes in there for sure.
Yeah.
The really wild thing, I don't know if you know this, is when you watch that TV scene where Laurie is in her house and PJ Souls comes over. That's the Nightmare on Elm Street house that they shot that in. Yeah.
I think I'd read that somewhere because I like all that kind of cool trivia. There's a lot of TV spots, if I'm correct in saying you guys have put TV spots in the 4K editions. J-Mac, what was the TV spot? And you need to do it for Cliff. What was the TV spot that you told me you loved? Tell Cliff.
It was actually it was on the release of The Way of the Dragon, Bruce Lee. I think it's called Return of the Dragon over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they released that on DVD and it had the TV spots. And I mean, this would have been 1974, something like that. And the TV spot was just Bruce Lee kicking at the lens, kicking at the camera, like the Chuck Norris POV. And then this voice comes on, and it just goes, "Bruce Lee, Way of the Dragon, all over London from Sunday." And it just, the first time I've seen it, I nearly fell off my chair laughing. It's amazing how far the trailers have gone and TV spots and the voiceovers and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, especially actually with the kind of 70s and 80s horror boom, that I think there was maybe one or two guys did all the voiceovers for all the trailers, and it almost sounds like he's burping the whole time that he's talking. It's just that really kind of low, crackly voice, but I love it. I love it. It takes you back to that time, and life is all about nostalgia now.
Oh yeah.
Because we're not living in the greatest of times.
Yeah. I can't think of any really TV spots that I've seen growing up, because I never really, it's not something I would see on TV, but I know that now I think TV spots and like trailers need to rein it back a bit, because they give pretty much the full movie. It makes me think of that scene in Lost Boys. I read a TV guide, don't need a TV. Well, that's the trailer. You don't need to see it after you've watched the trailer. Am I right? In most of the things.
Yeah, they try and cram too much to get you in the theater, but then you're in the theater and it's like, well, I already saw this movie. It was only a minute and a half.
It goes to show you how weak some of the content is these days. That's the problem. It's not that the trailers are giving too much away. It's just that the movies themselves just they're not up to scratch anymore a lot of the time. It's a shame.
I think the studios don't care if they give the stuff away, as long as they get your butt in the theater.
You do hear that a lot, that as like I don't think the passion has gone away from the people making the movies. I think it is essentially the puppets, the puppet masters that are the. I mean, it's said by pretty much every creator, and we can. Sometimes one will slip through the cracks and something's really amazing. For example, A Quiet Place. That's one of the, for a long time, that was the first time I was like, wow, this is a movie that's original. It kind of has everything that you want in it. And I do think they do slip through the cracks. I think what we need, though, is for the most perfect horror to come out that would be great, that sets a trend for other studios to be like, right, let's do what they're doing and let them do it right. But then again, I'm just a fan, so I don't know if that makes sense. But would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so, definitely.
I think so.
I think the more power you have in Hollywood, the more you can kind of make sure that you're not giving stuff away, in the trailer, But
I think it almost to us kind of feels like they're like, for example, if for me, and I've mentioned this before. I saw a TV, like I went to the cinema and I saw a teaser, not a trailer, for Terminator 3. And what it was just like the Terminator theme with a big metallic 3. I don't know if you remember it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That done everything for me, right? It was like 40 seconds long, right? And I knew what it was and I was ready for it. I was like, gimme. The fact I didn't see anything was so much better for me, because I was like, what is this? Right, so we can see the metallic. Right, so what are we going? We'll go back to the T800, not the T800, the T1000. Is this the T1000 Terminator 3? There's a Terminator theme song. I was invested, and they gave me so little. So I think they just need to trust that the fans are there. Just trust us a little bit.
And then the movie came out.
I'll do. It happens to be a 3 thing, right? The third episode in every franchise gets panned. I liked Terminator 3, and I'll still stick up for it. So you guys obviously have been going, from what I can see, from about 2009, your first credits kind of kick in. Did you build this company around a project that you had done passionately, or did you already have this plan to do it? How did you create Shout and the Scream Factory?
Well, I have nothing to do with creating Shout Factory, but I started Shout Factory in 2009, and at the time, I do acquisitions and I do production as well. So, and I think it was 2009 we acquired the Roger Corman Library, and like in 2010, Jeff Nelson joined the company, and so Jeff is a real movie guy too. So, of course, we were brought together at the company, and we worked on the the Roger Corman library, which is where I really learned that nobody saved their film elements because Roger was the worst. You know, it's, I mean, in some ways you go, well, you know, back then nobody knew there was going to be home video, and they didn't know there was going to be HD, and you know, so you know, he didn't hold on to everything that you know you would have wanted him to. But so around that time is when Shout Factory really started to do deals with studios, and we did a deal with Universal, and which brought us Halloween 2 and 3 and Terror Train, and that's when Scream Factory started. Jeff and I just thought we need a label to, you know, put all these titles under, and being Shout Factory, Scream Factory seemed like a great name. And so that's basically when it started, and then we started looking more for product to put under that banner. And then we did a deal with MGM, and you know, we've just been going pretty strong since that year.
I mean, I thought you guys had just done a variety of things, but your store is jam packed with titles. So you guys have, like, I can't imagine very many days off.
No, I mean, you know, there's a lot of people in the company, so different people work on different projects. We have a kids and family division, and
that's
we
right.
have a studio division. So yeah, occasionally I'll work on titles that aren't Scream and Shout, but mostly what I work on is Scream and Shout.
And the process of that, could you just be sitting at home one day, see a movie on TV that you've not seen in years, and say, I wonder what the rights would be for that, and then have that kind of tick along, and then would you just kind of look into that, or do you follow like an algorithm of what's doing well? How do you decide, right? Is it because for me, I'd love to go, this movie isn't on DVD, on Blu-ray, I'd love to do it, and then go do it. Is that kind of how you guys get around to acquiring the titles?
Sort of. I mean, most of the deals that I do are with studios, so you know, Jeff and I usually know what we're looking for before we go in and acquire it. Whether you're a fan or you just know the film and know that it would sell well. So, you know, usually we sort of know what we're looking for, and, you know, try and chase certain titles, and sometimes you chase them and you don't win. You don't catch up to them. But yeah, I mean, I would say there have been times where I all of a sudden thought about a movie and then tried to research who has the rights and then contact them. But yeah, we've done deals with every studio except Lionsgate, and I don't think that's ever going to happen. So.
Are they quite cut off to doing deals with like outside companies, or they just?
Well, you have to look at their end too. You know, they need to put their staff members on this to give us access to whether it's art or whether it's, you know, film assets and stuff. So and lawyers, because lawyers have to approve the cover, they have to approve the extras. So it's a lot of work. So, you know, some studios have been slower and some have been faster. Just depends on, you know, do they have the staff to be able to work with us? That's what it comes down to.
What movie did you go, this might be a bit iffy, I don't know if this will do well, and it completely surprised you? Have you had a moment like that where you're like, wow, why is this selling like hotcakes? Like just one you didn't really expect it?
No, not really. But I remember when we were doing the first deal with Universal, I was writing up the offer to send to Universal, and I thought to myself, oh my God, we didn't put They Live on there. So without going back to the bosses for approval, I just typed it in on the offer. And I sent the offer through, and it got approved. And I think it may have sold better than any of the other titles that were in the original offer. And it was just like, sometimes you just forget certain titles. Some titles move around so much from different studios that you forget sometimes where it actually ended up landing.
Yeah, I have the Steelcase Blu-ray edition of They Live. Absolute classic. Again, a big wrestling fan, so Rowdy Roddy Piper in a John Carpenter movie. I mean, what if that's not a recipe for like excellence?
That's that's a wet dream for you, that one, Ken.
I came here to chew bubblegum and kick some ass.
But occasionally there are titles that surprises you. They come out and they don't do anything, and then you look back a year or two later and you go, wow, we actually sold a lot of that title.
Yeah.
So I think word of mouth sometimes, friends hear it from other friends that it's a great title and they purchase it.
One thing I would say as well is that the titles that you release aren't. I mean, it's not limited to old 20 and 30-year-old movies. There are much more up-to-date things in there as well. I mean, I noticed that Dog Soldiers is on your list. So Ravenous is one of my favourite movies, and it really kind of flew under the radar here. I don't know how well it did in the States, but I think it got a theatrical release, but nobody really seen it. But wow, it's one of my favourite movies, and Robert Carlyle is just a joy in that movie.
Yeah, it's a bizarre movie, and I think that's why it didn't really take off. And I don't think it did very well for us on Blu-ray either. It's just
that's a shame.
It is. It's a very odd movie, and like Walter Hill's Southern Comfort, didn't do very well either. And I think it's just a movie that eventually people find and appreciate later on.
One that really intrigues me now. The reason it intrigues me is because it ended up on one of the UK's video nasties list. Was The Burning. Now, The Burning, I've still never seen it. It's not that easy to acquire over here. But I watched just like it was something I saw on YouTube earlier on about it, and you can kind of see how it made the list. But then you think there's been films a lot worse than that were never banned. There seems to be no sense as to what they banned and what they didn't at the time, and it's nice that these things are getting a kind of new lease of life again as well.
You got to see The Burning. That's great.
Yeah, I'm going to need to acquire it. It looks like good fun. Similarities to Friday the 13th and stuff in there as well. Yeah, I think it was actually made, or certainly in production, before Friday the 13th, if I remember right. So it's not a rip-off.
Yeah. The what was I going to say there? I was meant to say something there, and I completely blew a brain fart. No, I've got it. So, is there a title that you've been dying to get your hands on for some time, but it's just the stars haven't aligned yet for you to do it?
Yeah, I mean, it took me years to get The Thing. Every time we put in an offer to Universal, they said, no, it's too big a title. We can't give it to you. And so, we kept pushing and pushing. There was that. There was Alone in the Dark, which we have coming out. I asked for quite a few times, and I was told no. I think Dawn of the Dead is probably the one that, we probably spent more time trying to make that deal than they did shooting the movie. And, it just didn't happen. And it's unfortunate. And Second Sight did an amazing release. And so at this point, I think there'd be no point in doing it because, so many of them have shipped over here to the States, I'm sure. So that was one that was hard to lose. We were talking to some people about Suspiria at one time, and we thought we were going to get it, but Don May did an amazing job at Synapse with it. It was probably the better place for it to be. There's a lot that got away, but I mean, it's amazing when you look back at how many things we put out, how many movies we did get, and I think we've done pretty well on a batting average.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we kind of told you this before the show, but when Jay Mack and I were looking through your store, there was so much there that we're like, man, I've never seen that. It looks amazing. I've never seen that. So I think going to your store is a great way for people that love, because I know that Gary Smart is a huge, he likes the same kind of old style horror as I do, your store has so much of that just so up my street. You just look at the cover and you're like, this is something I like Class of Nukem High, stuff like that. So we decided that what we're going to do every month, I mean, we make a little bit of money on YouTube for what we do, so we are going to buy, we'll literally, it'll be 1 month, it'll be me, so I'll go in the store, I'll find a title that looks cool, I'll buy it, and then we'll do a full physical release cover, a full review of that release. Aye, long day, right? So we'll do a full review of that, and it's not even just of the movie, but of what goes into the behind the scenes, the cover, all the cool stuff that comes with it. Because I think, I don't see a lot of people doing that. I don't see a lot of people doing reviews of, first off, movies that you might not have seen that are horror. Just the movies that you get your main kind of loved horror. But on this side, there are horrors out there that were made that people like, for instance, The Gate. I love The Gate with Stephen Dorff, right? But if I said that to a group of 60 people, you'd be lucky if one knows what I'm talking about, right? And just stuff like that. I really think it'd be cool to talk about, A, the movie, and B, the reproduction of it in Blu-ray. So we're going to do it. I'll do it 1 month. J-Mac, you'll do it another month. And we'll just keep going back and forth. And we're going to build this collection of really cool Blu-rays, and we'll be able to kind of give value back to the creators, which again is how the world should essentially be, J-Mac. Yeah? I
already know the first one I'm going to get. Unfortunately, the name of the movie slipped my mind right now, but it's the film that is I think came out in 1980, and it's like Predator. What's that one called again?
Without Warning.
Was it Without Warning?
Without Warning.
Yeah, that one. that looks like a bundle of fun.
I have a couple questions here from people that they knew they were going to miss the show live because of the time differences, etc. So they left questions and stuff. We've got Dean Renner, who said, already pre-ordered mine Tuesday when they first went up directly from Shout Factory. I got 78 film with the vinyl and poster part 2, 4, and 5 with just the movies and posters. So that's someone basically saying, I'm all in there. And then below that, people are saying, same, I've got mine, etc. Ed Van says, what happened to the newly unearthed footage from 5? Why are there no really new supplements? I mean,
yeah, like I mentioned before, I mean, that those things will be announced when we do the second announcement, which will be like first week of August. We like I said, we can't put anything on the packaging that isn't done and approved, and
yeah. So translation, Halloween fans, you never know if it'll be there, so you might want to buy it just to find out, right? best way to be. Someone else here.
So do you have a set number of releases that there are going to be of this box set? Is there a number of how many are being put to print?
No, it's not a limited release.
Right. Okay.
That's great.
That's the words I was looking for. Is it a limited release? Jesus Christ! I stumbled over that one, didn't I?
Casey Forster says 100,000 million %. So there you go. I mean, because the question I put out to everyone was, we've got Cliff coming on the show, how many people have pre-ordered it, who's going to be pre-ordering it. So there's someone there at 100,000 million %. So for any negative comments, that times five negative comments equals that one great comment, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And we got Victoria Hathaway saying Halloween 3 is nothing to do with Michael Myers. She spelt Myers Myres. So Halloween 3 has nothing to do with the Michael Myers franchise. They should have skipped this one. Have you had that? As a lot of people says, why did you put 3 in there?
No, not at all. I think a lot of fans do love that movie. I think they're all selling about the same rate. Yeah,
I mean, look at it this way as well. Even if you're not a big fan of that, you're still supporting John Carpenter, Tommy Lee Wallace, and Scream Factory. So, it's not exactly like you pay for things to keep stuff going that you really enjoy, really love. So if you don't like the movie, at least appreciate it for what it is and what it's doing now.
Also,
would you agree?
I mean, isn't Michael Myers on the TV screen in one?
He is. Michael Myers. He is there. He's in fact, Michael Myers isn't. Michael Myers is though.
The thing is as well though, the collectors, most collectors are completists. So even if they weren't a big fan of the film, they're still going to want to have it. So it's a bit of a moot question.
In the 80s, when I was collecting movies, a friend of mine, I now have a different appreciation for the movie, but back in the 80s, I wouldn't buy Nightmare on Elm Street 2 because it was just it just wasn't, scary and great as Wes Craven's first film. So a friend of mine bought it for me. He goes, "You've got to keep it. You've got to have them all in a row. You can't have that one missing." So
just can't happen, especially when they all line up to be Freddy Krueger hugging the box set, right? There's another one here from Dean Renner. He said, "Never buyer's remorse. I'll buy that 4K box set if it happens as fast as I bought these new 4Ks." Right? So, I mean, from what I can see, and I'm part of what you call the Halloween community, this podcast as well. We've got upcoming episodes where we are going to be doing kind of deep dives into the Halloween movies and stuff. We love Halloween, so we are essentially part of that community. And from our end, everything that we can see has all been truly just positive. And when we see stuff like that, it's like you can't just scroll past it. You kind of just be like, all right, there's a new 4K box out with new art and all different materials in there. Let's just not, you know what I mean? Jevron McCrory, he says he's a guy that actually owns a Lost Boys fan page, and it's a really big one. So Jev says, loving these covers. I have a special affinity for Halloween 4. Really dig that movie. So even people that, may have wanted to not purchase it due to whatever reason, owning it already, you have kind of covered all areas of ticking the boxes of why you should buy it. And for someone that loves artwork, it's a new reason to get it. I mean, I have seen this. I've seen you guys call it Walmart, but we like Asda over here in the UK. So there'll be movies that have been out forever, Goonies or whatever, and then they release like a Universal, and it all is a new slip-off cover and a new piece of artwork. I seen me buy up like 7 different DreamWorks ones. There were movies that I essentially already have, Kung Fu Panda and everything, but they had shiny slip-off cases. And when I got 3, I needed more. You know what I mean? It's just, it's that extra bang for the buck, and I totally understand that. And I think what you guys do is brilliant.
So if you want Kevin to buy something, just make it nice and shiny.
Yeah, just give it a new slip.
Stop talking dirty to me. I think so. I kind of covered your biggest challenges was essentially lawyers and all the guys at the top. Is there any other challenges aside from that?
Lawyers, they're nice people, but they're just protective, and they have to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so would you say that that's basically your biggest challenge?
Yeah, well, no. I mean, I think the biggest challenge always will be what sort of film elements you get when you dive into it. You just never know. Sometimes you do deals, and then we've become much better about looking at the asset, list before we sign a deal.
Yeah.
Because some films just, I mean, I say it about Roger, but I think a lot of people didn't know what the future was going to hold. And I think they thought, that the one tape master that they had for television, back in the 80s was going to last them for the rest of time.
Yeah.
And, it hasn't. So,
yeah, I think
one thing that we need to bear in mind as well is it's not like it is now where everything's stored in servers. I mean, these are physical things that take up a lot of space. So some things just had to be literally burned. I mean, it's just an unfortunate reality.
Yeah, I mean, Roger had like 300 movies, and it's like, where do you keep it all? And at one point he donated a lot of the library to UCLA, so we had to go there to get assets. And he had like 4 vaults in town, that we had to go through for items. And as we still are exploiting the library, we're still trying to find things. And
I am based on you just saying that, I kind of come up with a great original horror idea. Are you ready to hear it out? It's based off this entire conversation. And if someone steals the idea, I'm totally fine with it as long as they do it justice, right?
No, we're not.
Right? A a guy works in an old video store and has the original materials to a specific amount of horror movies, right? And behind him is outside the back of his movie store, and he's obviously it's run down because no one's buying physical media anymore. Out back, there's a lot of homeless people, right, who people shun. One of them is quite shamanish, a shamanish, right? And she curses. She's doing a curse, right? That she thinks she's trying to learn it, and she thinks she's not done it right, and she's kind of over the wee barrel with the fire, giving it all this right. Anyway, she moves on. Curse didn't work. Guy comes out with the original materials and burns it in the cursed fire, and the bad guy in that material becomes real, starts killing folk.
Oh God,
you should write it.
I'm gonna. Well, it'll be stolen now. Someone's watching this. We have a lot of filmmakers on this. Somebody's watching this and stealing it.
I'm sure.
I mean, I could tell from your response that it's a must watch. It just needs tweaked a little. Absolutely. So what's next before we wrap up? You guys have spent since 2009 and you clearly have put the passion, the heart and soul into what you're doing. You've got the love of the communities, the horror community, Scream Factory, Shout Factory. It's not something that they're not aware of. So they absolutely know. Even when I said to Gary, and this was just an off-air conversation, I was like, I'd love to see a trilogy of Sometimes They Come Back by Stephen King. He was like, that's probably something the Scream Factory guys will do. I was like, oh, Scream Factory, I'm going to check if they have it. And so on, I kind of seen what you were doing. So you guys have obviously put so much work into that. Is that essentially what you want to do? Or is there more that you want to do in the future? Do you want to maybe start making your own? Like I says, I mean, you can have my idea. But do you want to come up with your own movies and maybe put out a Scream Factory original? Become
we did a movie a few years ago with the Sci-Fi Channel. That was the first sort of horror film we do. Of course, the title escapes me right now. God, I can't remember the name of it.
This is a movie you made.
Yeah, we were doing sci-fi. Yeah, I mean, Shout's making movies now. We have a Western coming out that's premiering at the Venice Film Festival. Wow. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, I think we'll probably... Oh, yeah, and we just did a remake of Slumber Party Massacre with I think it's also with the Sci-Fi Channel. So I do so much work on, production that I don't pay attention a lot of times. But so yes, that Slumber Party Massacre remake's coming out. So I mean, we're dipping our toe in it, but it's a huge risk. It's much riskier than putting out a movie on Blu-ray and hoping that you sell X amount of units. So yeah, I think if you jump into it too quickly, you can get hurt.
Yeah. I mean, we live in the world of possibility now. If you come up with a cool idea, you obviously have the following there. You do have the horror communities behind you, and I wouldn't think it would be a crazy idea to say, you come up with a script, an idea, a plan, and you could maybe do a crowdfund, and the people in the horror community would totally get behind that. And you could even say, if you pledge $100 to us, you can also pick a variety of Blu-rays from the site, stuff like that. I think getting people involved is the way forward for filmmakers, I think, now, because if I know I can pay $100, get my name in the credits and have some sort of involvement in a movie that I probably would never be otherwise, it's definitely, again, it's that whole giving value, and like you do with the Blu-rays and everything extra. When you give extra to someone, I think the more happy to do that. So I think it'd be cool to see you guys do that.
Well, we actually own Mystery Science Theater 3000. So we did. We've crowdfunded 2 seasons so far of that, and it's exactly like you say. People get their name in the credits at the end, and they get a lot of swag. So yeah, I mean, we've done it, but so far we've only done it with Mystery Science Theater.
That's on Amazon Prime, isn't it?
It might be, yeah. The first season we did was with Netflix. I don't know where the second season's going to be.
Oh, brilliant. We need to get that on the review, Jordan.
Yeah, and also on the review, this is the sound the microphone's going to make. I've just seen Kevin's message saying, "Is your microphone connected to the right thing?" And now that we're right at the end of the podcast, discovered it wasn't. So this is what I should have sounded like from the beginning.
I have an ear before. Absolutely. Well, we'll need to get you back on when you're doing more crowdfunding to kind of do our bit to help. We'll definitely drop you a couple of emails, let you know how we're getting on with the reviews and stuff. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. You're welcome back on our show anytime, especially if you've got new stuff coming up. If you've got stuff to promote, I mean, we could talk about this stuff all the time.
We've got a lot of stuff coming next year. So
yeah, exactly. And you've got enough stuff there. That's
job if you need to.
Excellent.
Absolutely. So it's been, like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure. We can't wait till the Halloween 4K comes out. And I know that I speak for everybody in the Halloween community in saying thank you for the work that you're doing on these great movies that are part of all of our childhood. And we're really looking forward to it.
Well, thank you everybody for continuing to support us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for your time as well. Thank you.
Oh, of course.
Of course. It's been a great time. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.